This video is going to be a film study look at Tavius Robinson's performance in the Ravens' 27-25 loss to the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Divisional Round matchup Sunday night, but also with an eye or projection forward to 2025 when Robinson will return in his third year as an outside linebacker / defensive end. He finished his second year in Baltimore with 3.5 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, which I think is notable. It's a huge improvement or increase from his rookie year. 4 tackles for loss, 30-plus tackles. I think he played his best football in the last 5, 6, 7 games of the year, culminating with his performance against the Bills Sunday night. Him and Malik Harrison were used on rundowns and against certain personnel groups, 22 personnel, jumbo 12 personnel, that the Bills like to go to often. And I think it was a brilliant usage by Zach Orr and the defensive staff because it preserved Kyle Van Noy and Odafe Owe for some of the pass rush situations, let them give maximum effort on those 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 6, particularly in the second half when the Ravens defense really turned it up, if you ask me. I thought Tavius Robinson played extremely well in what I call a 7 technique, like inside shade of the tight end, and I'll show you significant film here. I think we got 14 plays queued up. Really going to focus on him and Malik Harrison. Malik Harrison played extremely good against the Bills, and that was against the run and against the pass. There was times where he was like shot out of a cannon trying to get to a receiver or a running back who caught the ball in the flats. I thought both of those guys really set the tone on 1st and 10 run situations, particularly in the second half. Let's get to the film, and during the video I will talk about who the Ravens have on their roster at outside linebacker / DN for 2025. I think we're in great shape there, and I think that Tavius Robinson's performance at the end of the season, particularly this game, kind of tells you what he's capable of. It's not just a really good play from a technique standpoint. Look at how athletic he looks when he tackles Josh Allen. Josh Allen's an extremely big, strong quarterback that in some ways runs like a fullback or a running back. Tavius Robinson just swallowed him up and then slammed him on a 3rd and 1 in the first quarter. I think that 3 of the plays he makes in this game should excite us as Ravens fans from a potential standpoint because of how he's able to close down distance. And when he's the read man, he almost can play the quarterback and the dive, or the dive and the keep, if you will, at the same time. He's got a very balanced stance. This play impressed me. Same play from the end zone angle. You can see there's a mesh between Josh Allen and Ty Johnson. His feet, his timing on this is just exquisite. Getting that foot in the ground just as Josh Allen pulls it. So right there, and then just can't juke him. Really long, great frame, closing down the space, tackling Josh Allen. He's a violent finisher, and you see 2 or 3 instances of it in this game. Played a lot of first downs with Malik Harrison, like I said, against 22 personnel or jumbo 12. Great in short yardage situations, if you ask me, that his ability to close space is really going to cause problems. We've got some absolute freak athletes out on the edge, not including Kyle Van Noy and Malik Harrison, don't get me wrong, but between Owe and Tavius Robinson, guys, really long arms, play with a tremendous amount of burst. The knock or the drawback on Tavius Robinson, how many sacks is he going to generate? If he could double it next year, I think that's a win for this roster. With Kyle Van Noy, Owe, Tavius Robinson, Ojabo still under contract in 2025. Malik Harrison, I know, is a free agent. No idea what his market will be like. Still on the first quarter, this very next play, it's a 4th and 2. QB log draw. So initially thought it was dart because the tackle pulls. The left tackle pulls. We're just outnumbered here, really. It's a 4-1 in the box in a short yardage situation. That free safety who's spot shadowed there, we need him if we're going to stop the run, or we need to motion him out instead of Roquan to try to stop this quarterback run. So that is our Darius Washington at free safety, and there is Roquan down at the bottom of the screen. He's lined up over a running back. We just don't have requisite numbers in here from a just pure number standpoint. We've got 4 defensive linemen, 1 inside backer, Malik. They've got 5 linemen, Josh Allen. Everything else outside of the tackles really doesn't matter. If you count it up, it's a 6-on-5, so they have a numbers advantage no matter how you do it. And sure enough, Josh Allen's able to squirt through there. There's no backside inside linebacker presence because Roquan is lined up over the outside, over the fullback or running back, who's lined up wide to the left. out of empty. So it's a really cool play on a 4th down situation for them. Nothing that Tavius Robinson did right or wrong to spot shadow, but I want to show some plays that he's not necessarily involved in as well. Played really well from this 4-point stance, if you ask me. Sometimes it almost looks like a 3.5. So he's right here, both hands in the ground, 4-point stance, obviously. But if one of your hands is a little bit light, we would call it a 3.5. That was just a teaching standpoint for kids about how heavy we wanted them to be on both hands. Something I really want to look at in the offseason is Brent Urban, why he's a yard off the line of scrimmage or almost a yard off the line of scrimmage. But in any case, 1st and 10, Diamond Reed. I thought that Tavius Robinson and Kyle Hamilton being lined up next to each other was devastating. Their length, their range, ability to close space. Tavius Robinson's confidence when Kyle Hamilton was lined up outside of him was extremely high, meaning I don't have to worry about anything to my outside if I'm Tavius Robinson because Kyle Hamilton will handle all of that. Essentially, he's got a force player to the outside of him. He's able to step down, take the running back, Josh Allen, whatever he's reading, he's going to be wrong. If he's reading Kyle Hamilton, Tavius Robinson's there. If he's reading Tavius Robinson, it should be a keep for Josh Allen, and Kyle Hamilton's there. Chris Board could flow over the top. He had 2 TFLs in this game. I think he played a badass football game. You're welcome to let me know if you think I'm overstating. I think he only had 4 tackles, maybe 5, 2 TFLs. Beautiful job, if you ask me, of handling this diamond stuff. Tavius Robinson can step down with the running back. Chris Board could do anything. He could go with the running back if it's a give and the running back goes off to our right-hand side of the screen or the left-hand side of the defense. Or Board can gap exchange, fold over the top, essentially to take quarterback once Josh Allen keeps it, which is really what you should do when you get this type of read. But he's long enough and athletic enough, even if Josh Allen keeps it, he's going to be able to put his foot in the ground and run behind. He's not going to, quote, catch Josh Allen, but he'd be an inside-out leverage pursuit player. He's got the athletic ability, if you ask me, to be great against the run. Not just really good, but great. I like his ability to put hands on people as well. We haven't really seen it in this video. I'll show you one rep of him impeding Dawkins' release. Dawkins, their left tackle, is a guy who's in a very upright stance and I think plays at an extremely high level when he's untouched. So when the left tackle, Dawkins, gets a free release against the run, whether he's pulling or it's inside release to get up to linebacker, he can be devastating. When his when his path is impeded by someone touching him, even gently or slightly, like Tavius Robinson does here in a moment, I think his effectiveness decreases quickly, almost exponentially. I really don't know exactly what the Bills are trying to run with that diamond play there, but Tavius Robinson is a weapon against the option. Any read concept is going to be difficult to get anything done, giving it to the running back and or keeping it with the quarterback. Second quarter, we're into a 7-7 tie situation here, and look, this ball's out really quick. Okay, it's one of the and it's difficult to get pressure when the ball's out there really this fast. It's a Tampa 2 situation, so Roquan is getting depth, and as a result of him getting depth, Khalil Shakir is able to go underneath against Marlon. I think Marlon's a little too soft here, but this is Tampa 2, if you ask me. So I don't know exactly if Marlon is expecting to have help. You shouldn't if you're Marlon, because Roquan is carrying this vertical by the tight end. Tampa 2 is, really a Tampa 2 is a cover 3 masquerading as a cover 2 on the deep end, because the Mike linebacker, in this case Roquan, you can see he's turning and running with a vertical to wherever the passing strength is declared. As a result, you've got this vacated space in here. Josh Allen getting it out really quick. I think it's a 2nd and 7. Completion to Shakir over the middle. But getting back to the concept, you're not going. This is one of the reasons why I think that pressure rates is a flawed or skewed statistic, because these guys are not going to be able to get there and get pressure when you've got this type of concept. And a 3-step concept, quote, shouldn't work against a cover 2, but a Tampa 2 is different because, again, the Mike linebacker is getting vertical, he's getting depth, so there is that natural space, that bubble, if you will, in the middle of the field that there wouldn't necessarily be if we were playing an old school traditional 2-deep, 5-under coverage. I didn't think Tavius Robinson had great pass rush reps in the game, to be honest with you. There's really not any that are of substance to show you. He's had good moments rushing the quarterback. I think he had 2 sacks against the Steelers earlier in the year. In my opinion, if he can translate any of the violence and the closing down of space in the pass rush that he does against option plays or runs away from him, then we could have hit an absolute home run with, I believe, a 4th-round pick. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. All right, moving forward, he's up to the top side. Bills are up 14-10. I think this is after our second turnover, but I could be wrong. They're going to go down and take a 21-10 lead here, a middle-late second quarter. That's Tavius Robinson, spot shadowed up at the top side of the screen, and he's just quick to the ball. He's got great awareness, much better awareness, I think, this year than he did as a rookie in 2023. There's a lot going on for him to try to get on the field in 2023, but this version, if this version of Tavius Robinson was on our team in 2023, he gets on the field more. Whether, no matter who we have out there, Clowney, Owe, Van Noy, he would get reps. Because this guy that I saw against the Bills on Sunday night looked like a totally different animal, if you ask me. As an aside here, now, Chris Board, you can see his foot right here. I've listened to and talked to people, heard people talk about reading guards for years, and I'm not saying it isn't done. It's certainly very effective, and it's one of the things that you teach inside linebackers, but don't tell me that NFL linebackers don't respond to back keys because you've got Chris Board crossing the face of this guard here who's running out to get involved with the screen, and Board is just reacting to the running back crossing Josh Allen's face in a typical mesh look. But in any case, Tavius Robinson dealing with the left tackle, able to disengage, come out here, and when he finishes in a violent manner. This is the type of guy you want 6 of him on the field. Not 6 defensive ends, but you want 6 guys on the field who finish like this, because really, you put 3 of them on your right. This is a generalization, but something we used to talk about, something we were taught by some coaches way smarter than us. If you got 6 of these guys, you want 3 of them on your right and 3 of them on your left, or maybe you put 1 of them at Mike backer or 1 of them at free safety, so he can show up on the right or the left-hand side of your defense. But the point is, multiple guys, finish the play, finish the ball carrier in a manner that leaves an impression. Essentially, plays with the requisite amount of violence, whether it's a run concept, a pass play. We are going to get into some film here that shows, I think, Malik Harrison having a spectacular game. This is going to be one of them. It's a 22 personnel grouping. That font is a little small there. My apologies. And Harrison was a presence against the run for real. Look at how many guys he collisions here. The tight end, the fullback, and then he makes first contact on a running back. That is beautiful play against the run. I recognize, he's I think a unrestricted free agent, so I don't believe we have any ability to retain him. How much of a market is there out there for him? First of all, I could be wrong. I mean, maybe we are able to match, but I don't think so. How much of a market is there for him? Not much. There's multiple guys with his skill set in the draft every year, but the difference is the versatility. Being able to play inside backer and edge defender is an asset for him. I'd like to have him back. I get it that it's not a sexy or a real attractive situation. Hey, we would rather draft a guy who's going to rush the passer. Man, we've got Van Noy. We've got Owe. Tavius Robinson, I think, is playing great. You're welcome to let me know if you disagree with what I'm talking about and what I'm showing here with Tavius Robinson. And then finally, David Ojabo, I believe, is under contract for 1 more year. Malik Harrison added to that mix with his versatility would be great, as long as it was a low salary structure. He totally disrupts this, number one. Number two, Matabike, even though he's got the center trying to overtake him. One thing I want to mention was Tavius Robinson here on the backside. And this is something that I noticed during the course of the game and even kind of leading up to it. Like I said, Dawkins is a hell of a player. But if he's got a free release, he's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 guy sometimes getting up to the second level. In terms of his effectiveness and ability to impact or prevent linebackers from getting to the play. He doesn't really, him and Chris Board don't get tangled up at all. It's the left guard, in fact. But my point is, I think he's a guy you got to get hands on. I think Dawkins is a guy that, from a coaching standpoint, you got to say, we cannot let him have a free release, because when he's a free release, he's an A-plus player. When he's got someone to deal with, someone actually puts their hands on him a little bit, sometimes he's still an A player, but sometimes he's a B-, sometimes he's a C+. Tavius Robinson is the kind of guy I think that if you give him a task, hey, get hands on this guy and be physical, he's going to go out there and do that. And with his length, his strength, and explosiveness, I think he's going to win matchups. Even though on this film that I'm showing you here, you basically see him unblocked a lot of the time or stepping down to try to disrupt things. So this is actually first possession of the third quarter. I think that the other play was as well. Nate Wiggins on the blitz. It's a beautiful call, man. I know the video is about Robinson and also Harrison to a lesser extent, but we're really manipulating the Bills' coverage here. This is very Mike McDonald-esque, if you ask me. Jones occupying the center, and then Roquan on a blitz through the A-gap. That's going to occupy the running back. Why do I bring all that up? Because then what we end up with, since Wiggins is blitzing, we're running a stunt with the D-tackle defensive end. You can see Roquan's being occupied by the running back. Essentially, we've created a 3-on-2, or you may want to call it a 4-on-3. Either way, we have a numerical advantage. Nate Wiggins, free rusher. Additional to that, against this mesh concept, Keon Coleman running underneath, Samuel running the other drag. Kyle Van Noy does a really great job, if you ask me, of recognizing it and taking away that first read. Also, has to be talked about. Watch Malik Harrison drop out of there and match the vertical by the tight end on inside leverage. He's got a landmark, a cap, if you will, and he's reached his cap. So what I mean by that is whatever his distance is, his cap, his trained distance on this coverage, it might be down a distance related as well. He gets there right now, settles under, and he's looking for some other kind of work. I thought that Malik Harrison played one of the best games that I've seen him play. I believe it may have been the Tennessee Titans playoff win in 2020 down in Tennessee. I'm talking about the playoff rematch. That in the wildcard round, that he played an exceptional game, but I could be wrong. Feel free to let me know in the comment section if I've misremembered that. The nose tackle is occupying the center. Roquan is occupying the running back. This is all intentional and designed. Now look, Roquan's trying to get around Ty Johnson, and he actually does. Extremely athletic move. You can see the stunt by Matabike and Owe. Holds the right guard and right tackle. Ends up being a 5-man rush. Zone drop. Nate Wiggins gets there. I thought it was close to being intentional grounding. Not really the point of the video to complain about it. I mean, the game's over at this point. Defense came out in the third quarter, got a stop. We're able to go down and get a field goal. Second possession, we get another stop. And this is the tremendous just range and burst that these guys have. So I think Tavius Robinson is seeing the back cross his face and thinking there might be a screen. So that's why he's not rushing here. I'm talking about right here. He's not rushing yet because he's trying to confirm, okay, is the tackle who's dealing with me or anyone inside, like a guard, going to go out? Are they running a screen? So he's screen checking, if you ask me. Additional to that, Malik Harrison dropping out as well. So we've intentionally rushed 3. I get it. People talk about pressure rate and we didn't pressure the quarterback enough. Sometimes it's by call, guys. This is one with Malik Harrison. It's by call, number 1. Number 2, it's by reaction from a Tavius Robinson standpoint. And it's a proper reaction. He's seeing something that looks like it could be a setup for a screen. And it was a great tackle by Kyle Hamilton, just to be honest with you. I think Tavius Robinson was looking for a screen because of the flow, the release, if you will, of the running back. One more time, those two guys on the same side. This is that same possession. I think it's the second possession for the Bills of the third quarter. 21-13. You can see it's a 1st and 10. So Robinson overwhelming Dawson Knox to slant, stunt, whatever you want to call it, towards the running back's flow. Hamilton running for the quarterback if he keeps it. I don't know exactly who's going to have the other tight end if he slips out into the flats. But we were really good early on in that third quarter, in that second half, I should say, against the run, against pretty much everything, getting 2 stops early on to help us to close to 21-19. I'll give you the end zone angle of this one. Hopefully you can appreciate not just Tavius Robinson on our left, closing down, essentially a pinching, but also Malik Harrison on the front side. So he's going up against their jumbo tackle, 70/tight end. This is indicative of what you saw with Harrison setting the edge. Absolute win against a guy they play a lot out there as a sixth offensive lineman, second or third tight end, whatever you want to call it. I call it jumbo. You guys know that. Because Tavius Robinson is running with the grain of the flow with the running back. Cook can't cut it back. He's got to bounce it outside. And there's Malik Harrison to finish us off. Those two guys played exceptional football for much of the game. Don't get me wrong. Early in the game, the first half, I thought the Bills were able to get a little bit more done with the run game. And then Cook does have a really successful run here in the third quarter. I thought Harrison did a great job when he was getting hands on people, tying them up, and basically contesting every inch or every foot, if you will, and not allowing the running backs to get easy space off tackle or even downhill concepts. Now, here's one where Cook is actually going to bounce it, and I think Ardarius plays this forced position a little soft. We've closed to 21-19. Remember, we didn't get the two-point conversion. I think Lamar's pass to Andrews, or maybe it's likely, is tipped. I don't think Ardarius forces it, and I'm not sure about Tavius's reaction, or he ends up essentially pinching in that direction, and then Board doesn't gap exchange, flow over the top, kind of like I drew earlier. It's a little bit tough to draw from the all-22 angle, so when we get the end zone, I'll show it to you, but it's a reaction by Tavius, and he's disrupting the running back's path. The running back, I think, is trying to follow the fullback and go underneath. Ardarius has got a tight end lead blocking, and so when Cook bounces it, Ardarius is just unable to get off that block, number one. I think Ardarius has got to be a little bit more downhill there, if you ask me. Actually set the edge. You don't have an opportunity when the edge is that soft as a force player. Give you the end zone angle so you can see it's great effort and range exhibited by Kyle Hamilton. Same play from the end zone angle. So there's Tavius Robinson. You're going to get a fullback kick out. Now, look, it's possible that he's not supposed to go inside of that block. Look at the way Board plays it. Board tries to play it tight off the wall. So the wall is the right tackle. The right tackle comboing here on Broderick Washington and then moving up to get the backside inside linebacker. Something to be said for that, for how we blocked power a couple times. But in any case, Board is going tight off the wall. The way he's playing it looks like Tavius is going to set it inside. So basically, Tavius would take it on with his inside shoulder, his right shoulder, same foot, same shoulder, more power. Keep this arm free to the outside for the bounce. And then Chris Board would try to fit underneath of that take on by Tavius Robinson and basically tight to the wall. Scrape for skin off the wall, off the right tackle. You're going to meet somebody else that's going to be the backside guard pulling because it's power. Tavius goes to the inside. Board doesn't gap exchange it. So, where's the breakdown? I'm not sure. Either way, the force player, Ardarius, has got to be better than he was there. Perhaps on second, third, or fourth glance now, maybe Tavius shouldn't have dove inside of that kick-out block. But in any case, end up being an 11-yard gain for Cook. Like I said, after we had closed to 21-19. Same possession, and the Bills have been showing this tray look. So what I mean by tray is, let me pull this back a little bit. Tight end, and receiver. And Matt Collins, let's be honest with you, he's a very physical guy. He's actually a Maryland guy. I don't know if you guys know that. And he ended up going to, I think, Fork Union Military Academy. No offers out of high school and went to, I think, North Carolina. Maybe NC State, but I think it was North Carolina, and has now turned out a nice NFL career for himself. So he's very physical as a receiver. They use him as a lead blocker in this compressed formation that I call tray, where you've got a tight end and sometimes two receivers, or in this case, two tight ends, one of which happens to be an offensive lineman, and then Matt Collins tightly aligned. But then they switch it up in the third quarter, and they motion him out. So as a result of that, it pulls our corner out with them. You've got, again, Tavius set up with Kyle Hamilton down here on the same side. And watch what Malik Harrison does. I mean, absolute domination as an edge player. Getting off the block, first contact, this toss play. A Board taking a good angle. Tavius not necessarily doing a great job there, if you ask me, being able to get away from that right tackle. I thought the right tackle, just in this game, looked a little bit more consistent in his steps and his releases than their left tackle, who to me seemed, in this game at least, to be a guy who would hit more home runs, but also have some plays where he just didn't get on base at all. So Malik Harrison is off screen to our right. You can see the arrow pointing to him. Hopefully you guys catch it a little bit. I'll slow it down some. So you can see the hand fight. This one almost reminds me of Pernell McPhee, man. Somebody who would win on the first engagement and then win on the second engagement, or just discard your ass, and you'd end up face planting on the ground. He won 3 reps against 70 clean. I've shown you 2 of them. That was one that I thought was really impressive. You have to let me know if you think I'm overstating how well Malik Harrison played. Same possession. We're now into the 4th quarter here. They go down and get a field goal here, by the way. And it's 12 personnel, ace. I want to show the Tavius Robinson is on the field, but he's playing that Brent Urban technique. So Tavius and Malik Harrison are on the same side now. And again, when I talk about Brent Urban playing a yard off the line of scrimmage, look at the D tackles, look at Van Noy, and then look at Tavius's depth. It's just different, obviously. It seems very intentional. It almost looks like to me Tavius is playing the Brent Urban position in our defense, whatever that's called. But it's a play-action pass. I think Ardarius is getting too much depth, in my opinion. It almost really looks like a 3-deep, 3-under coverage. And in my opinion, when you're hot 2, if this is a 3-deep, 3-under zone blitz, and 2 disappears, you got to look for 3. And in this case, 3 happens to be the running back out into the flats. I think that he's getting too much depth here. It is a 1st and 10. His heels end up being back at like 12. He's a safety by trade and obviously position, so it makes sense. But look at Malik Harrison, man. Guys, he's 6 yards, 7 yards in the backfield when the ball was thrown. Josh Allen just threw the football. That's Malik Harrison's helmet there. I like to run it back multiple times. If it's annoying to you, my apologies. But I'm going to do so here because I want to show his range. So we're talking about the ball thrown. That doesn't look like the perception about Malik Harrison. Being slower footed, not playing well in space. That doesn't look like the same guy to me. That looks like a guy who, well, it's possible that looks like a guy who says, hey, I don't know how many more games I'm going to have in a Baltimore Ravens uniform. He played with a tremendous amount of force, and his activity level was extremely high. If that is the last game he plays in a Ravens uniform, I think he's got to be proud of it. Finally, last play that I'll show you. Again, you got Hamilton and Tavius Robinson lined up next to each other. Look, he's off the line of scrimmage again. I'll pause it right there so you can see it. Look at Matabike and Jones. Look at their hands, and then Tavius is certainly backed up off the line. He disrupts the pulling guard, makes Cook bounce it. The difference is, remember, he bounced it earlier. He forced him to bounce it earlier, and Ardarius was a little bit softer on it, number 1. Number 2, Chris Board didn't scrape exchange over the top. Now those last 2 things is exactly what happens. Board doesn't really get involved. He gets picked up, I believe, by the pulling guard, but there's Tavius. You can see he goes underneath the pulling guard, makes Cook bounce it, and there is Hamilton to finish the play. He had a great game against the run. I knew that he was good against the run, very good in some cases, but this, I thought, looked like extremely high-level play, and the ability to adjust, the ability to take on multiple guys in the run game, be exceptional against the read option, tackle Josh Allen. That first play that I showed you, again, you're welcome to let me know if I have overstated it by 10% or 15 or 20%. But that first play, man, to be able to tackle/slam an athlete with the core strength and the upper body build that Josh Allen has, he's bowled through guys, defensive linemen, linebackers before, not all of them, but sometimes. And Tavius Robinson absolutely overwhelmed him and swarmed him. That play was over. In fact, it was a loss of 1. They did get the first down on the very next play, the 4th and 2. I thought both of these guys played fantastic against the Bills for the entirety of the game. If you look at the game as a whole, Was there some reps that I didn't show you that weren't as spectacular as a couple that I illustrated here? Sure, but by and large, these two guys played extremely well. I'm really glad that Tavius Robinson got the opportunities he got late in 2024. He took advantage of them. 3.5 sacks. I think he could double that with his talent level. If any of that burst, that closing speed, that violence can translate a little bit more to the pass game. But it's also about opportunities. You saw in the Bills game, he's on the field on 1st and 10, and he's not on the field on 2nd and 3rd down, which is kind of matches up with Brent Urban's role whenever he's been on the Baltimore Ravens roster. In any case, you guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. If you enjoyed it, please let me know. If you're not aware, likes and comments drive the video, drive the content to be pushed out to a larger audience. And finally, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at a young player who seemed to be growing up in a huge situation on the road against the Bills, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.